So good morning, or whatever time of day it is that you're joining me. I'm here in beautiful northern New Mexico, up in the Jemez Mountains, real close to the Jemez Hot Springs. I'm hosting what I call a little mini retreat. Anything shorter than a week, I call a mini retreat, just Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Still a beautiful opportunity to spend some focused and meditative time out in nature. And one of the first teachings that I give people going on these mini retreats, and it's so important, especially when we have just kind of a shorter amount of time, is a practice that I call the mini soak. And it's based on current neuroscience of how we make memories. So you should know that anytime we don't stay with an experience for longer than about 15 to 30 seconds, that experience doesn't get the opportunity to shift from short-term memory into long-term memory, right? So if at the end of a Monday, for example, I were to ask you, what did you do today? You'd probably say, well, I worked and I had lunch with some coworkers, and kind of the things that you stayed with the longest are going to be the experiences that really rise to the surface of your long-term memory, and that's what we tend to reflect on as part of a big part of our day. That's what we'll share with others like that. So when I take people on these mini retreats, I really encourage them to leverage this bit of neuroscience and do a practice what I call the mini soak, which is anytime you notice yourself having an experience. It could be standing beneath one of these big, awesome trees. It could be watching the mist kind of float over the lake in the morning, a hawk wheeling overhead, whatever it is. And it's beyond the scope of just going, wow, isn't that beautiful? It's actually choosing to become present, soaking our mind, soaking our awareness in that present moment experience of that experience of beauty, so as to intentionally to be able to choose to shift that experience from short-term memory into long-term memory. That's a mini soak. So what is mindfulness? It's intentional awareness. So in the mini soak, we're practicing becoming intentionally aware of an experience and trying to hold our minds in that space for at least 30 seconds. So we have the opportunity to use our mind to hardwire our brain in a different way, choosing to really stick that memory into our long-term memory storage banks. Why this is so important is because when we reflect on our lives, what creates the through line of our lives is our long-term memories, right? So we reflect back on the last year, all of those long-term memories, all those experiences that had the opportunity to shift from short-term memory into long-term memory, give us the reflection of our lives. And most of the time, we're not doing that with any bit of intentionality. We're just kind of letting it happen. We're at work for 8 hours. Okay, so that becomes a long-term memory. What I'm encouraging people to do, especially when we're out somewhere so beautiful as that, I mean, look at this lake behind me, right? Is to choose to actually do it so that you're creating your long-term memories, so that you're creating this ability to change the perspective when you reflect on your life. Right? That's the mini soak. I encourage you to practice it, you can't be out in the Jemez Mountains all the time in your own life. When you're spending some time with your children, sure, you might be in that experience for longer than 30 seconds, but you might not be fully present for longer than 30 seconds. That's the deal. That's the deal with mindfulness. Intentional awareness, intentional presence. Choosing to just soak your mind, letting go of everything else, and soaking your mind in the sounds, the smells, the temperature of the air on the skin, what you're feeling in your body, what you're seeing on your child's face, whatever it is. Give it a try. It's the mini soak. It's one of my favorite practices of all time, especially to share when I take people out on these little mini retreats. Okay, so maybe you can join me sometime soon in one of these mini retreats, beautiful northern New Mexico, or wherever it is. I hope this was of benefit, and I'll see you next time.